Hi, Eric Lanask here in Miami at ITEXPO. On today's program with me, Tim Bassa from Bullseye Telecom. Tim, good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for inviting me out.
Oh, our pleasure. As a provider of cloud-based voice services, telephony services, what are you seeing in terms of, there's been a lot of conversation already that I've had this week about just increased migration to cloud services, and a lot of that being driven by what I guess you could characterize as more or increased trust in the cloud.
Sure, I think there's more trust in the cloud. There's more conversations. We're certainly having more conversations with our current clients and our prospects about moving to the cloud. But what we see is how do they make that transition? So they have a roadmap. They know where they want to go. But they don't have, we have a GPS in our car. They don't have a GPS for their technology roadmap. Right. So one of the things that we really try to do is meet them where they are today and grow them where they want to go. So if they're a big analog consumer of POTS lines and PRI and they want to go to a hosted cloud-based solution, we can start by converting all of their services for all the locations to our platform on a TDM basis, and then work with them on the roadmap to hosted. Or we call it digital voice, I mean, sort of a moniker in the business now. Maybe they just want integrated access, old school, T1 with some VoIP at a location because they have an old phone system they can keep using. And as that end of life, then they want to put a hosted system in. So we try to find out where they're at each location and move them along the path that they want to grow on.
What's helping make that decision to go toward a hosted solution as opposed to a more traditional on-premises IP-based solution?
Well, I think there's a few things. Oftentimes in the space we work in, the mid-market or enterprise level, it's multi-location. They have disparate providers, disparate systems, so they really want to consolidate and simplify their operations. So by converting to a cloud-based versus premise, they might have a bunch of different premise-based systems. They end of life at different times. They have different service level agreements with different providers or maintenance contracts. They're trying to standardize the way by which they operate, but also from a budgeting perspective, they want a simple, controlled budget. They want to know they're paying X amount per rooftop nationwide, and that's helping guide that decision. So uniform technology, simple way to operate those stores or locations, predictable, and really evergreen, because the cloud continues to refresh itself. Well, the endpoints may change. The cloud is the cloud. The feature functionality, it's a cloud-based. It's like software as a service, right? It continues to evolve as they evolve.
Now, you made the statement that endpoints continue to evolve. They keep evolving to things like soft phones and obviously mobile devices. Are we coming to a point at anytime in the future where those are going to be the only endpoints that we use and the traditional desk phone is done?
So that's a great question. I'm smiling because I laugh about it. We'll go into some environments where the phones are yellow, from the days when they smoked in the offices, right? And they say, it's worked since 1952 or however long they've had them. And then we go places where there's millennials running the show, and their whole goal is, I'm going to give everybody a number. They're going to have single number identity. We're going to give them a cell phone allowance. You're going to put your app on their mobile phone, and whether they're at home, at the beach, or in the office, they're going to use their app to make business calls, and they're going to use their personal cell phone number to make cell phone calls. So I think that's definitely happening in the marketplace. What the adoption rate's going to be, I don't know. I think it's similar to any technology. People want to try it. So what I see is executives, IT, it's a shiny ball. So they want to play with it, see how it works, and once they establish reliability, then they'll roll it out through the enterprise. But I think that day is coming. In fact, I just had a conversation with somebody else that said if you and I were starting a business, knowing what we know, we might not buy a PBX. We buy the functionality from the cloud, from a provider like Bullseye, and then we'd roll out mobile apps and soft phones. To start, maybe we end up with a call center or something where it's more asset-based or device-based.
Sure. What about people's trust in the cloud and the whole security question around cloud? That was always a significant detractor from cloud. That seems to be changing.
I think there's just a mind shift overall in trust. I mean, take the security, target security breaches and different things out of the equation. When we first started selling voice over IP, people thought their phone would get a virus, right? But now people use Google Drive and Dropbox, and they're on Facebook and Twitter. People are so comfortable with the internet and the fact that they exchange information every day that it just seems logical that the phone would use the internet. So we get less security questions now than ever. I think people are more trusted. I think that has a lot to do with the media, a lot to do with the way we all market our services.
You mentioned the multi-site enterprise that's got maybe Cisco gear in one site, via somewhere else, NEC, ShoreTel, what have you. How do you go about helping integrate all of those, and maybe you building that roadmap to having a consolidated system, but maybe doesn't want to do it all at once?
Sure, we typically start with challenges and goals. What are the challenges of the enterprise? What are their goals? What's the bridge to get them there? Do they want to be all Cisco someday? If that's the case, they're going to go that direction without Bullseye.
Right.
So we'll start with connectivity, broadband, PRI, POT service. What's causing them a lot of frustration? If they get hundreds of bills a month, if it's an accounting nightmare, if it's a service nightmare, we'll start there. And then we'll work towards that CPE or those desk sets, those handsets, and say, where do you really want to end up? And a lot of our clients who are moving to a hosted model, they don't want to manage a Avaya, Cisco. They don't want to manage a PBX at all anymore. They want us to manage it. They don't want the big CapEx, the big cost up front. They want to cut that check. They want to pay an MRC, and they want to have it maintained by Bullseye, managed by Bullseye. They want a hands-off approach, but they want an accountable partner that they can trust to help with the project management, the trouble resolution, the billing and invoicing.
Are there additional services that you're able to add on to just the telephony services that create additional value for you?
Yeah, so it's telephony, connectivity, and then a managed service. So managed firewall, router, back up to a primary network, whether that's cable. A lot of our customers who have MPLS networks will come to us for a secondary network that's broadband provided. Also, we see people moving from MPLS networks to IPVPN. So we'll provide IPVPN network with 3G, 4G failover through our managed security box, content filtering, a lot of just the basic operating needs of, think about a franchise. If they're going to open a store, they need phones, they need internet, they need security, they need some content filtering, they need guest host Wi-Fi. Those are the kind of bundles we often create for our clients.
Excellent. It sounds like things are going well, Tim.
Things are going great.
It's been a great pleasure talking with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Take care.